coming up on March 20th and 21st, but unlike their trial in 1989, Eric and Lyle may have a real chance at a fair hearing this time around. As you may know, Eric and Lyle were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for their parents' murder, despite the brothers' insistence that they did it because their father abused them for years and years. The problem was that all the evidence about this abuse was presented in their first trial, but that trial ended with a hung jury, meaning the jurors couldn't reach a unanimous decision. Then, in their second trial, the judge barred any evidence about the brothers' history of sexual abuse from being presented in their case. And that's when they were found guilty. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was hard for people to believe that the brothers were as safe because abuse against boys wasn't really talked about as much as it is now. But recently, new evidence has been found which proves Eric and Lyle were telling the truth about their father. When Eric was a teen, he wrote his cousin Andy a letter telling him all about his father coming into his room in the middle of the night and making him do unspeakable things. Remember, back in the day, the brothers were convicted because it was assumed that they were not actually being abused. So having a letter that was written before the murder does change everything. The main obstacle the brothers are facing now, which could potentially prevent them from being resentenced, is the new Los Angeles DA, who doesn't seem to support their cause. If you guys are kind of on the fence about this case, I would advise that you watch the Menendez brothers documentary to better understand this case, and I can promise you your opinion will definitely change. At Eric and Lyle's upcoming hearing, the DA could recommend to the judge that the boys be resentenced, but he also might not. A free way that you can support their resentencing is by using the Justice for Eric and Lyle link in my bio to sign the petition to the DA.
How long you can survive without one of your organs, without one kidney, your entire life, without the nose, 65 years, without the stomach, 5 years, without the mouth, 3 days, without the heart, 10 minutes, without the bones, 8 minutes, without the brain, 6 minutes, without the lungs, 5 minutes, without the skin, 30 seconds, without your phone, 0 seconds.
Tips that could save your life.
If the ice isn't floating, don't drink it. There is something in the drink. Never sleep with your windows open. Typing for 144 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. If you're ever in a falling elevator, lay flat on your back. Leave a note on a table before you leave the house. If you come back and it's gone, leave the house immediately and call the police. There is no name that starts with an S and ends with S.
Breaking news, they have now revealed missing Sudipska's last known transactions. The missing 20-year-old made the transactions 40 minutes apart on the afternoon of March 5th. Her first payment was made to an unspecified user at 2:54 p.m. with only an emoji of a sailboat. At 3:38 p.m., she paid a second Venmo user for Coco Bongo, which is seemingly a reference for a popular nightclub in the area. And it was billed as, quote, the hottest nightlife spot in the Dominican Republic. Then a missing persons report was filed by her friends around 4 p.m. on March 6th. Her father then subsequently filed his own report from his hometown about 2 hours later. After furthering the investigation, authorities have now named a person of interest. He has been identified as a 24-year-old senior at St. Cloud State University. They say while he is a person of interest in this case, they are cautioning that he is not a suspect. He is believed to have been the last person to have seen her. They have also confirmed the resort lost power around 1:27 a.m., which is why she and the person of interest may have been on the beach in the middle of the night. They said power wasn't fully restored until early the next morning. Due to the power outages, it disabled their security systems and cameras at the resort. Because the beach area is usually off limits at night, it was also unsupervised. The outage also disrupted the lighting and security systems and security surveillance cameras on the beach. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Here are some horror movie fates that are even worse than being sewn into a human centipede. Because just when you thought you've seen it all, I'm here to bring you the worst of the worst. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but there's one scene in this movie that still haunts me, and it's been years since I saw it. Wrong Turn from 2021 is about a group of friends who go hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. And there they encounter a cult called the Foundation, and this cult has a very unique justice system. And the scene that I'm talking about is how this cult chooses to punish people who commit crimes such as trespassing or even lying. One of the characters in this movie is sentenced to darkness, which is a punishment that is worse than death. And basically what that means is that their eyes and ears are burned out with a hot poker and their tongue is ripped out of their mouths. These people are then kept alive and thrown into a dark cave where they live the rest of their lives in silence and darkness. You literally see all of this happen in the movie, so that definitely traumatized me a little bit. But if you're into body horror, this movie will definitely give it to you. This is the 7th movie in the Wrong Turn franchise, but you don't really need to watch the other movies to watch this. It'll still make sense. A part of me kind of wishes that it was a standalone movie and had nothing to do with the rest of the lore, but overall I did like it. Let me know if you've seen any movies that you think are even more disturbing than the Human Centipede, and follow for more horror and movie content every single day.
Here are some facts about your body that you probably didn't know. First off, our taste buds do not work without saliva. To test this, try drying off your tongue with a piece of paper towel, and then eat any food you want. You won't be able to taste it until your saliva mixes with it, which dissolves the food, which binds it to our taste receptors. Next, if you ever get punched in the mouth and your tooth falls out, there's actually a chance you can save it. If you gently rinse it and then place it back into the socket, if you do this in a short amount of time, it may actually be able to reattach itself. Next, when you breathe through your nose, you're mostly breathing through one nostril. This is called the nasal cycle, which switches between each nostril every few hours. But you only really notice this when you have a cold.
I just found a way you can change your eye color, and I want to see if you can do it. Okay, what I need you to do is stare at the eye at the center of this circle. Now double tap the screen if you want to know what's going on. Try not to blink, and whatever you do not look away. Now, as you're watching this, you will see this image begin to shift and move. This is the feeling of your brain changing your eye color. It will be a fully different color in 3, 2, 1. Go to a washroom right now and look at your eyes in the mirror. Your eyes will be a different color. Comment what you saw.
Weird facts that you didn't need to know. This is the world's smallest reptile. Look how tiny it is. The stoneheads found in the Easter Islands actually have bodies. Most Korean people have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you're looking to get revenge on your ex, only slash 3 tires and not 4, because the insurance covers all 4 tires. Cannibalism is legal in 49 US states. An elephant's 5th leg is so big and strong that it can throw around an adult human. Hippos sweat red, like actually.
This is a scary urban legend about the Rake. This is the Rake. He is a scary urban legend in the United States. He is a humanoid creature with very large teeth and claws that stalks its victims and appears at the end of their beds while they sleep, or in the woods or their houses. He is 6 feet tall, with pale grayish skin and 2 very large eyes. When the Rake has a victim, he completely stalks them and terrifies them, and then mutilates their body, completely ripping them apart and killing them. The Rake has a lot of dangerous and powerful powers. He has superhuman strength and speed, also invisibility and shapeshifting, and even teleportation. People who have been stalked by the Rake have either committed suicide because they couldn't handle what the Rake was doing to them, or the Rake just kills them. All in all, the Rake is a very powerful creature, and every single one of us should pray that we never see him.
I've seen hundreds of horror movies, and these are some that actually scared me, and I promise will make you sleep with the lights on. The first time I saw Incantation, I literally had full body chills. This movie just has a way of getting under your skin, and after you're done watching it, you're gonna feel like you're cursed. It's about a mother who realizes that after she messed with this forbidden tunnel that belongs to a religious cult, that she ended up unleashing a curse that is now tormenting her daughter years later. If you're into found footage movies like Hell House LLC, Blair Witch, anything like that, I just have to say that Incantation is one of the scariest found footage movies I've ever seen. You need to watch this if you haven't yet. And for the next movie, I don't mean to be biased, but when it comes to disturbing movies, Asian horror is next level. 99% of this movie I cannot show on here, which is how you know it's good. I genuinely believe that anybody who says the body horror scenes in this movie didn't get to them is probably lying. The Sadness is a movie that pushes every single limit. But I don't know if I'm just messed up because I still think it's a really good movie. But beyond all of that, what really got under my skin is the concept behind this movie. It's kind of a zombie movie, but not really because it centers around a virus that makes people act on their darkest thoughts. The messed up things that they desire on the inside, the things that they're too afraid to act on. If you guys know about the comic book series Crossed, the virus in the Sadness is kind of like that. And this is the last movie on the list. It's completely different than the past two, but it's Megalomaniac. This one is about the children of a serial killer who suddenly disappeared. And we're watching this serial killer's son and daughter attempt to either live a normal life or carry on their father's legacy. This is a very strange movie. I would describe it as kind of like watching someone's nightmare unfold. If you like weird horror crime movies, almost like Longlegs but turned up to 100, then Megalomaniac might just be for you. Let me know what was the last horror movie that really scared you, because if I haven't seen it, I'll watch it and I'll recommend it if I really liked it. And don't forget to follow for more.
Scientists have created super skin that can self-heal 90% of damage in just 4 hours. This breakthrough is made possible by combining entangled polymer networks with ultra-thin nanosheets, making it incredibly resistant, allowing you to heal like a superhero. This milestone opens a window to newer possibilities in the fields of wound healing, soft robotics, artificial skin, and more.
Here's some rare photos of fascinating people through history. The two people in Grant Wood's American Gothic existed. This is what they looked like, and they were not a couple. It was the artist's sister and his dentist. This was Margaret Gorman, and she won the first Miss America competition in 1921. This was the first iteration of Ronald McDonald from 1963. This was Stephen Bobrowski, known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. He had hypertrichosis, which caused hair to grow up to 8 inches long all over his body. He performed with Barnum and Bailey and spoke 5 different languages. This was George Hackenschmidt, credited with inventing the bench press. This was Conrad Veidt, whose performance in the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs inspired the look for the Joker. This was Daniel Lambert, the world's heaviest person in the 18th century, weighing over 700 pounds, and according to a rumor, possibly fought off a bear by himself. This was Maud Wagner, who was believed to be the first female professional tattoo artist in the United States. This was Selma Burke, who designed the portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, still on the dime today. This is John Smith, and he was reported to be 137 years old at his death, but that's not verified. This is Ralph Lincoln, and he is the 11th generation cousin to Abraham Lincoln. This was Franz Reichelt wearing a homemade parachute suit. He tested it by jumping off the Eiffel Tower in 1912, and it did not deploy.
More details have come to light in the case of the author mum who allegedly murdered her husband. Now, this case has just got wild. Kuri Richards, who wrote a children's book last year on how they can deal with grief after her husband Eric passed away, has actually been accused of murdering him by lacing a Moscow Mule cocktail with fentanyl last year. It has now come to light that she allegedly attempted to kill him multiple times before this occasion in order to secure his $3.6 million estate. Court documents have shown that Eric had actually previously said to his family, "If anything happens to me, she is to blame," but a family spokesperson said he stayed in the marriage for the sake of their 3 children. Now, according to affidavits obtained by Summit County Sheriff's Office, one of Eric's sisters recalls Eric and Kuri were out in Greece on vacation a few years ago. Now, allegedly, Kuri made him a drink that made him violently sick. So much so, he actually called his sister back in America to say he believed Curry tried to kill him. And according to records, there was another incident back on Valentine's Day in 2022. Curry allegedly brought Eric a sandwich, and just after one bite, he had a severe allergic reaction. Hives, couldn't breathe, he had to have an EpiPen and Benadryl, and was reportedly out for hours after just one bite. Now, legal documents obtained by DailyMail.com show the twisted legal battle Curry endured just weeks after Eric's death in order to try and secure the family estate. Curry had claimed that all the money left in her late husband's will was rightfully hers, and had accused Eric of trying to defraud her and take legal action by shielding her from their property and their businesses. Now, according to a police warrant at the time, he had expressed concerns that Curry may kill him for money. So without her knowing, he actually handed over his power of attorney and his will to his sister, Katie. Now, Curry was completely unaware of this, so in her mind, on the terms laid out in their prenup when they got married, everything would be divided and pretty much everything would be left to her. When examining Eric's cause of death, the medical examiner said he had an overdose of fentanyl. 5 times the lethal amount was found in his system, and it looked like he had also taken it orally. They also added it seemed to be illicit fentanyl, not medical grade fentanyl. An anonymous source had actually come forward to police to claim they had sold Curry $900 worth of fentanyl this year. And then she'd come back for another $900 worth of fentanyl after Valentine's Day. Something's not looking good here. Curry Richens has been arrested on suspicion of his murder and is currently being held in custody. Her first trial date is set for May 19th.
For more on this story, head to dailymail.com.
Breaking news, they have now released the full 911 call in the Brian Kohberger case. Take a listen.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to. Is she passed out? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20. Here's one.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
You talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them.
Hello.
Okay. I have already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, you have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
My grandma always used to tell me that nothing good happens between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. She would say, those are the devil hours. Do not go out during that time. And, you know, I always tell people, if you don't believe any of this stuff, right, go out after midnight into the woods alone and then tell me what you think. Now, many years ago when I was younger, I had just gotten out of the military and I was kind of adjusting to this regular civilian life. Now, one of the things that helped me is I got into doing outdoor survival. Now, I used to do these 4 to 5 mile backpacking hikes where I would go out sometimes 12:30, 1 o'clock at night and hike in the woods. This particular area that I would hike was along the river. It was like this hill, and it was just this heavily wooded area. Now, at the time, right, this area was known to be home to the Peoria Indians. And this is where they hunted. This is where they lived. There's even believed to be this huge burial ground on this area that was never found. So this particular night, I decided to hike this trail called the Pimatui. Now, the Pimatui was an old Native American trail they used to use to get down this hill to the river. So what I would do is I would hike this trail and I would get to this specific spot where there was a stream that cut through the trail. I would then turn right and I would follow this stream through a ravine down to the river. So as I'm hiking the Pimatui Trail, I come to the stream, I turn right, and I start following along down this ravine. I start hearing like music, and it sounded like someone was singing, but it wasn't like a person. It was like one of those old music boxes. And as I kept on walking further and further, like it got a little louder and then a little louder. And that's when I get to the specific spot of the stream where it kind of makes a curve. And there's this sharp ravine with two steep sides on both sides. And I remember hearing this music like coming from the side of this cliff. And I'm like, what is making that music? Like, where is that coming from? And that's when I see like this opening on the side of the ravine. And, you know, it was probably about this wide. You could, you know, barely crawl through it. And it was some kind of cave or something. So I hiked up to the top of this hill and I started shining my light into this cave. As I look in there, I see the movement of something very large. And I don't exactly know what it was. I can't explain to you what it looked like, but it caused me to like jump back. And at the time I'm thinking, okay, if this is some kind of wild animal, I'm blocking its only exit. So I started making my way back up the ravine and heading away from there. And as I'm walking, I notice like all this movement up ahead in the woods. And I see several deer just booking it through the woods like something had just scared it. And I could hear
Strange videos that will creep you out. Just a couple weeks ago, a security camera in a bar in a small town in England captured something on camera that is leaving people really confused. The footage shows a man sitting at the bar talking to a few bartenders. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until you look at his drink. Seemingly out of nowhere, his drink gets pushed over, and if you watch it again in slow motion, it seems to be pushed by something. The bar in this video is over 167 years old, and the store owner claims that his restaurant's been haunted for as long as he can remember. What do you guys think? Comment below.
You won't believe how much unseen footage there is of Ruby Franke and everything she did not want us to see in Hulu's new docuseries, Devil in the Family: The Fall of Ruby Franke. In this new series, raw footage has been exposed that never made it on her YouTube channel. We will be hearing from her two eldest children and her husband.
Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
This three-part series exposes various moments where Ruby becomes extremely abusive towards her children, forcing them to say and do things that they didn't feel comfortable with, only for the purpose of filming content for her channel. It's very unsettling, and it makes you wonder how bad it must have been at home when the cameras were off. Now, things only got worse when Ruby met Jodi Hildebrandt, and everything took a very dark turn. As their relationship got stronger, Ruby and Jodi began believing these crazy conspiracies that the world was going to end, and that Jodi was the chosen one. And they talk about it on the three-part series, Devil in the Family: The Fall of Ruby Franke, which is now out on Hulu.
Here are the craziest things to ever happen at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not one, not two, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought that his ex-wife was possessed by a demon. And so they locked her in their car and set up an exorcism in the parking lot by throwing sacred oil at her, which might have been the reason why they ended up divorcing. Also, back in 2013, a 16-year-old was going into labor, and she gave birth in a Cannon City Walmart bathroom. Now, there was panic for a moment because the baby wasn't breathing, but luckily, one of the store's employees were CPR certified and they revived the baby. I guess Walmart really can help you live better. And finally, in 2011, at a Walmart in South Carolina, customers witnessed a man named Avery Blandon end the life of his wife, Lilia Blandon, while she was working inside the store's bank. Avery stabbed her multiple times and she sadly passed away on the way to the hospital. He then tried to escape the scene, but he crashed his SUV and was caught by police. But what's weird is that the store stayed open during the investigation, only in Walmart.
You won't be able to stare at this image.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a doll companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Morbid Facts, Part 545. Last year, Wisconsin elementary school teacher Madison Bergman faced 10 felony charges for having an inappropriate relationship with her 5th grade student. Investigators were shown disturbing screenshots of their text conversations, in which Bergman would talk about how much she enjoyed making out with the young student. The two also exchanged over 100 letters, love notes, and artwork over several months. She was reportedly still graping him up to 3 months before she was supposed to get married to her fiancé. Bergman has pleaded not guilty to all 10 counts. Ohio sex worker Linda Lassess prompted a multi-state public health alert after police discovered she'd slept with more than 200 clients while knowing she was HIV positive. Officers worked hard to contact her clients and suggest getting tested so they could seek the proper treatment. Randy Woodfield was drafted by the NFL to play for the Green Bay Packers in 1974, but was soon cut from the team due to a series of indecent exposure arrests. He would go on to become the I-5 killer and is believed to have been responsible for over 40 murders throughout the early 1980s.
So you like anything creepy, but have you heard of the case of Celine Delgado? There is a television network in Spanish called Canal 5, and they had a segment called Al Servicio a la Comunidad. This segment would come on around midnight, and it would show missing people from the 90s to 2000s. In 2001, a photo of a missing girl named Celine Delgado Lopez, who was 18, showed up on this segment. There wasn't much information about this girl besides her name, age, and location of where she had went missing, which was in Mexico City. Some people found this odd because other people who were listed as missing on this segment had a full bio with greater detail. Viewers started to feel uneasy while watching this segment because as soon as her photo popped up on the screen, the TV channel freezes for a few moments and then this happens.
Selena Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000.
creepy, right? Fast forward to 2020, and there was a Facebook page with the name Celine Delgado Lopez. Many users who were familiar with this missing girl started to freak out because they realized that they were already added as her friend and couldn't remember adding her in the first place or even accepting the request. To make matters worse, they didn't even have the option to unfriend her, and many started to think that this Facebook page was haunted by Celine Delgado, while others thought it was just a complete hoax. Let me know what you guys think about this.
Daisy, Daisy, I'm half crazy. All for the love of you. It won't be us, I wish married.
Here are the strangest things that were found in the middle of nowhere. Back in 2014, two German friends were walking through a forest that they used to play in as kids, when suddenly they noticed two pipes sticking out of the ground. They continued to walk until they stumbled upon a hidden doorway that went underground. They entered the creepy corridors until they stumbled into a room that was flooded and had a weird looking machine. That's when they realized they were in an abandoned control bunker that was used by the Soviets during the Cold War. Next, in 2016, a group was flying in a helicopter over the forests of Russia, and they spotted another helicopter that was abandoned in a swamp. This turned out to be an Mi-6 model that originated in 1956, and it was the largest and fastest helicopter at the time. It was revealed that the helicopter had been there since 1981, when it traveled from Moscow and it crashed because of engine failure. But thankfully, the crew of it did live to tell the tale. And finally, on Route 90 in Texas, you can find a Prada store that's surrounded by nothing but desert. This was actually art that was made back in 2005 and cost $120,000 to make. Inside the store, there's even real products from their 2005 Prada collection. But unfortunately, the doors aren't real, so you can't actually buy them.
This new true crime docuseries is so creepy and bizarre, and it had me hooked from the moment it started. This is like Unsolved Mysteries meets X-Files, and it might be the greatest thing I've seen all year. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal features 8 true crime stories that have some strange and creepy connection to something paranormal. If you love documentaries, make sure to hit follow because I post daily and you'll never miss out on what to watch. Whether it's someone getting drove to madness from believing in something paranormal like lizard people and committing a horrific crime, or people blaming things like murders on something paranormal like witches. It's fascinating and yet very scary, and I think a part of the reason why it's so scary is because the filmmakers did a really good job of grounding this series in reality. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal is releasing exclusively on Hulu, so if you want to see this, make sure to head over there and check it out. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
People are freaking out realizing what happened on this film. Whatever you do, do not watch it. There's a lot of disturbing films out there you've probably all heard about. The reason this is so disturbing is because it's real and because of what happened. This movie released in 1980 and was instantly banned in many countries. Essentially found footage. They find this tape which contains all of these videos on it which are messed up. I'm going to say the name, it will get taken down, but that's it. Shortly after the movie came out, the director was arrested and actually charged. Let me explain. Basically, the movie was so realistic, the scenes in it actually looked like it was real life. Now, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened, but you can probably guess it's pretty brutal. There's lots of things that involve animals, humans, and stuff I can't even talk about. When it came out, many critics and people viewing it thought it was genuinely real. Rogetto Deodato, the director, was arrested and eventually actually charged with murder, saying that he had actually unalived the crew who were the actors in the film. But they were able to prove that all of the people who were in the film, the actors, etc., were perfectly fine and he was let off. It was a film, no one was actually unalived. But unfortunately, the things that happened to animals in the film was real, like they were actually extremely harmed during the making of the film. Some problems there, and this has of course caused a lot of controversy over the years. A lot of people still say that this movie is cursed, and if you watch it, you're watching real stuff happen. It's definitely an extremely disturbing watch, so I don't recommend it.
I have real tears in my eyes right now. I'll always say, like, Appalachia, #1 rule, you don't go out after dark, right? Even I know that. They say you don't look to the woods. That's cardinal rule, right? You don't know what's looking back. Found this video, I'm gonna play it for you. It's not even really a video, it's more of like an audio clip of somebody who was in the woods at night. He recorded, the only way I could describe it was disembodied screaming throughout the forest.
Animals with Down syndrome.
Morbid Facts, Part 546. In 1983, Carla Faye Tucker murdered a couple with a pickaxe while attempting to rob them, striking each of them more than 20 times and later saying she felt a sexual thrill with each blow. Tucker was sentenced to death for her crimes, but after converting to Christianity during her time in prison, there was a worldwide campaign to spare her life, even involving Pope John Paul II and the brother of one of her victims. However, Texas Governor George Bush ultimately blocked the appeal, saying, "The gender of the murderer did not make a difference to the victims," and Tucker was executed by lethal injection in 1998. South Carolina woman Mary Wilson was using her blow dryer when she suddenly passed out with her hand on top of it. The dryer continued blowing hot air directly onto her skin for at least 20 minutes, causing third-degree burns all the way to the bone. Wilson was rushed to the hospital, where doctors found nerve damage so severe they had to amputate her entire hand. The yellow outline is the size of SeaWorld's parking lot. The green dot is where orcas will spend their entire lives.
Their intellectually disabled daughter had a baby with her brother, and they were okay with it. In June of 2024, the Oklahoma Department of Human Services contacted the Molden family regarding an 18-year-old disabled girl who had just delivered a baby. The father of the baby couldn't be established because at first she stated that her father was the father of the baby, but that ended up not being true. The girl and her mother Tamika claimed that she had a boyfriend and he was the father of the baby, but they were never able to provide a name. Police knew that something wasn't adding up, so they collected a DNA from all the male members of the household. Once testing was done, it was confirmed that the girl's brother, 19-year-old Nathaniel Molden Jr., was the father of the baby. During an interview with police, Nathaniel Jr. had admitted to being intimate with his sister for up to 2 years before the baby was born. He also told investigators that his parents had caught them but never reported it. Nathaniel Jr. is being held in the Oklahoma County Detention Center on 1 count of incest. As for the girl's parents, they were placed in custody on child neglect charges but have posted bail and have been released. As for that girl, the Department of Human Services took custody of her and her newborn baby.
Here are the craziest things to ever happen at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not 1, not 2, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought